What if being alone isn't some problem you need to solve, but actually a structure you can build? That's exactly what we're going to dive into today in our explainer on the architecture of solitude. Let's get right to it.
So let's start with a question that kind of gets right to the heart of things, right? Is having more friends always better? I mean, we're told pretty much our whole lives that the answer is a big yes, but what if that's not the whole story?
And that question leads us directly into our first section, where we're going to pick apart the myth of popularity. That widespread idea that having a jam-packed social calendar is the #1 sign of a happy, successful life.
This really sets up a huge contrast. On one side, you have the common belief. Having just a few friends is seen as a social problem, something you've got to fix. But what if we just flip that whole thing on its head? What if having only a few friends isn't a flaw at all, but actually a sign that you have really high standards for who you connect with? Okay, so let's really dig into that second idea. This takes us to a whole new way of looking at solitude, one that goes way beyond just feeling lonely and steps into this space of being intentional and having self-respect.
So the first key concept here is called lower social dependency. Now, this is not about being antisocial. Not at all. It's about reducing your need for constant outside approval to feel happy or secure. To put it simply, your sense of who you are isn't built on how many people are around you. And when you have that lower social dependency, you get to achieve the real goal here, social autonomy. This is awesome. It's the freedom to basically design your own social life based on your values, what truly matters to you, not on what everyone else is doing or what you think you should be doing. So the big question is, how do you actually build this? Well, that's what this next section's all about, the architecture of autonomy. We're going to look at the real-world habits that create this kind of intentional, thought-out social life.
But before we jump into the habits, let's just lock in this mindset. This is so crucial. You have to shift your thinking. It's not about a lack of friends, it's about having a surplus of values. You aren't missing out on anything, you're just zeroing in on what's important.
So here are the 4 big pillars that hold this all up. First up, you prioritize quality over quantity. A couple of deep connections will always mean more than 100 shallow ones. Second, you're genuinely comfortable with your own company. Solitude stops feeling like a punishment and starts becoming a space to recharge. Third, you actively seek out deep, authentic connections, not just ones that are convenient. And finally, you treat your time and your energy like the precious resources they are, and you invest them wisely.
All 4 of those habits are really built on one single foundation, maintaining high standards. Think of yourself as a gatekeeper for your own time and energy. You're making a conscious choice about who you allow into your inner world.
This quote just says it all perfectly. Your social circle isn't small, it's intentional. It completely reframes the entire conversation, right? It goes from being about scarcity to being about a deliberate, powerful choice.
All right, let's pull all these threads together in our final section, redefining your connections. This is all about taking these ideas and actually applying them to how you see yourself and your place in the social world.
So, here are the key things to walk away with. First, remember, a small social circle can absolutely be a sign of social autonomy, not social failure. Second, making the choice to prioritize quality connections, that's a strength. And finally, true social wellness, it comes from authenticity, not from popularity.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. In a world that is constantly screaming at us to connect, what if your greatest social strength isn't how many people you know, but how well you know when it's time to just be alone?